Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. I'm Lital. Back with us for another recording is our daughter Leia. Leia, how's it going?
I'm good.
Still no school?
Yes.
So you're joining Abba and I to see what we do in our free time.
Yep.
Abba is dead in Hebrew. That's how we call Abba and Ima.
Not dead. Dad. Dead means pronunciation, ma'am. Pronunciation. Words matter.
Yeah, she's
The fact that I don't do the Zohan is like, yes. Feasible.
So, I am in Lake Placid. And by the way, the back of my shirt is I'll share this because it's funny.
the shirt.
Oh, we can hardly see. We can hardly see. There is a.
It's kind of funny. The shirt blends into the
It
background.
says I'm barely awake with a bear holding a coffee mug because you know how much I like muffins.
That is definitely you 1000%, Abba.
Exactly. And I'm in Lake Placid. Leah, do you know what happened in Lake Placid in 1980?
I think I heard you and Ima talking about this yesterday. Wasn't there?
Oh, it's called Miracle on Ice. By the way, there are two videos that every person needs to see. One is the movie with Kurt Russell from 2004 about Kurt Russell playing Herb Brooks, the coach of the U.S. team.
Oh, is it hockey? Something
Yes, a hockey U.S. team of college graduates beat.
Still loose, 11 seconds, you've got 10 seconds, the countdown going on right now, Morrow, up to Schultz, 5 seconds left in the game, do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable!
Yes, USA was the biggest miracle where a college team beat the best team in the world, the Russian army team.
What year was this?
1980, the Winter Olympics.
That was still
way
going
before I was born.
Yes, it was. And
exactly.
And Lake Placid is basically built around the story of that Olympic. There's a museum for this. I went to the 1980 rink. Dave, if you want, I'll send you a couple of pictures over email because there's the names of all the players that the team, all the players in that team, their names and numbers are around there. Mike Eruzione has a store.
Sorry, Didi. Many from Boston.
Yes.
And Leah, I think a couple from Northeastern.
Oh,
yes.
True.
Yeah.
BU. Yeah.
There's even like a plaque for one of them in like in the Huskies rink.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Did you go with Omri or alone?
I went alone. I'm here because of Omri's tournament.
So he's supposed to play.
And the whole tournament is dedicated for that. So the kids, our kids, are playing with US themed jerseys. Everything is.
That explains. I was wondering why do they have those jerseys?
Yes. So everything here is in the theme of that win.
What about the Canadian teams coming to the tournament?
Oh, there's a Canadian.
There are Canadian teams coming to the tournament. I think we're playing one this afternoon.
Are they good?
Yes, they're always good.
Okay.
Yes, and so two movies. One is the 2004 movie with Kurt Russell. Everybody needs to watch that. And another one, Dave, I don't know if you saw it. It's called about men and miracles and men.
I have not seen.
From 3030, about the Russian team's side.
Oh yeah, maybe I did see that documentary.
Yes.
ESPN documentary. Yeah.
Both of them amazing, must shows. I'll put them in the links to the show. Must watch. But that kind of drives watching all this hockey togetherness is the theme for our talk. And this is, by the way, why I'm introducing this and not Lital, because hockey is near and dear to me. A week ago, two teams, one in a not sport, boring as shit, cricket. So the South African cricket team decided to let go of their captain, their under 20 captain, who's Jewish, under the guise of security. But cricket, as we know, is a not sport, and nobody cares about cricket. But the other one that was a lot more meaningful, at least in my view, is the IIHF. The IIHF said that for security reasons, by the way, both
IIHF, for those that don't know the acronym.
What is
the
that?
International Ice Hockey Federation, which is based out of Zurich, which again, not a real country. It's just a big bank. So Zurich is in Switzerland.
Thank you.
Yes. So Zurich, Switzerland, big bank, not a lot of anything else. The headquarters is there. The head of the federation is a guy called Luc Tardif, and I had to explain to your mom that Luc Tardif is a very common Quebec name, because I said, "Oh, it's from Quebec," and she said, "How do you know that?" I said, "It's like Moshe Cohen in Israel."
Or like
exactly. So they've decided to block the Israeli team because of security reasons.
The women and men teams from participating in
World Championships.
On World Championships tournament. Yeah.
Yes.
The team in Israel?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think this is
Team Israel in hockey?
Yes.
Yes, they lost to the MIT B team.
Okay.
So we brought the goalie his goalie bag when we visited Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
your grandma
there is a
monster.
There is an Israel hockey team. That's Omri's only chance to play on a team after he turns older than 18.
And be in the Olympics. It's amazing.
Exactly. So there is an Israel team, and the thing about this, and the reason I'm bringing this up, is not actually politics. It's actually one of the near and dear themes from my heart. It's blaming security and using security as a fig leaf to not tackle real problems. Because in my view, if the IHF didn't actually want the Israeli team there, they should have taken a strong step like they did against Russia and Belarus by excluding them from championship when Russia invaded Ukraine, and take a political step and not hide behind the guise of security. And this happens in our business all the time. And this one was even adding insult to injury, because it had such a bad marketing message. It had such a bad marketing message because the way that the message was crafted, and it's clearly that it was crafted by some French-speaking bureaucrat, because in English, it means as if the Israeli team presents a hazard to the other players on the ice. By the way, in hockey, by the way, if you don't know, you're supposed to hit the other team.
Yeah.
If you missed it, it's a violent sport. You're supposed to hit the other team.
It's part of the risk of actually playing.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have people skating at 30 miles an hour with sharp knives on their feet, hitting each other with sticks. I think it's safe to say that
like the Israeli team is actually so violent. I mean,
it's not exactly. It came out as if the Israeli team is violent or problematic, and this is kind of where the whole thing was a debacle. It was such a debacle that the NHL basically said that, hey, we want real clarifications from you. Gary Bateman himself actually took it and said, I actually want to understand what security risk you're dealing with.
He's the head of NHL.
The head of the NHL. He said, I want to understand what you're talking about, because it could be that this is a problem for other places. It could be, do you have any concrete risks? Do you have any concrete alerts? Because it came out sounding very scary. And this is where I think we need to talk on this talk about how sometimes people use security to avoid doing things that they don't want to do.
And put it as, you put out the scary message, there is a security threat, so let's not do it, without giving an explanation of what it is, what can be done to mitigate it. I think that the thing that, and I'll continue using the metaphor, and then we'll move about what happens in,
our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I mean, I read and listened to the response of Yael Arad, which is the head of the Olympics, the Israeli Olympics Committee. She's an ex-judoka, won silver medal in the Olympics. She said, well,
And I used to practice with her, by the way. She used to practice in my gym in Tel Aviv.
Admirable woman. She said, well, if you are running a tournament, you already understand the security landscape of the tournament. If there is a specific risk, let's say a terror risk, you need to address it with local authorities. For example, if it is a concern about protecting the team, you can ask the government of Israel to support additional security for the team, if that's the risk. If there is a risk about, fights between players, you can ascertain that everybody understands the rule and they're not going to be violent.
This is why the refs are on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was like, those risks need to be mitigated, need to be discussed, because otherwise it's just, as you said, it's a way to hide your political motivations, and it's not really a security issue. And this is where I think it comes to our industry back again. When we talk about security risk, security
and
assessment,
compliance and privacy and all the rules that we have, because we have a lot of rules in our industry. And my thoughts around this is, first is, are you geared towards action?
Or just
for example,
what's stopping things from happening?
Exactly. Because it's really easy to hide behind security, as Yael was saying. Hey, talk to us. If you're geared towards action, if you want to let us in, we can give you money. We can give you staffing. We can give you solutions. We can find, because everything eventually in security relates to money. No matter how you'll play with this, eventually translates into money. And then it needs
basically an investment in tech, in human beings, in attention, building a program, understanding, prevention.
Yes, exactly. So I'll give you an example of a legitimate use of security and privacy to avoid. So when we were ORT, Matt will remember this, a customer from India was engaging with us. And I said to the team, hey, team, please be aware that if we plan to engage with that customer, especially once we understood their posture, I said, we need to be aware that you can't get identities out of India. We need to have something that runs.
They have their own GDPR equivalent.
Exactly. They have their own GDPR equivalent. So we need to have a data center there. They have specific requirements around IP addresses and what can you do with IP addresses and how to store them and how do you store personal information. So our lawyers need to be engaged. We need to have our ops team engaged. We have to do this. This is going to be the cost. And are we willing to incur those costs for a single customer? And are we seeing growth in this market? Because one of the things that I recommend, by the way, for every single Israeli startup that know nothing about privacy, and eventually I do want to bring in a privacy lawyer to have this discussion, is start selling in North America market and don't deal with EU, don't deal with India, don't deal with Australia.
Because of the size of the market and the simplicity of selling into that.
Exactly. And what's the cost of doing business in that region?
Yeah.
So for their taking compliance under consideration and deciding as a business decision that an X amount of dollars of transaction is not worth the incurring cogs and continuous engagement with policy practices. Like sometimes you actually need to hire to deal with some of these markets. You need to hire a dedicated person in those markets who's a specialist to deal with these things. So sometimes it's one of those things that you need to understand and learn the landscape. Very much like in this case, you need to engage with, I think it's happening in Belgrade, engage with their local police, see if they're geared to deal with these things. If not, engage with somebody else who is geared to deal with these things, but have an open and transparent conversation. The other part is,
you go.
is messaging. I'm completely on my soapbox on this one. Message, when you deal with security, must never be FUD. It cannot, explain to Leah, what is FUD?
Fear, uncertainty, and what's the D? I'm forgetting.
Doubt.
Yeah.
This is a term in security where I throw out something that says, hey, you can't go on this street because somebody will get murdered. Or you can't, creating
bomb scares.
Exactly. Bomb scares.
Okay.
Creating things like fear, uncertainty, and doubt is the worst thing, because those are not addressable.
Yeah.
You don't know where, you don't know when. It's all about a feeling of chaos. Something bad is going to happen. We cannot address it. So we should do nothing. We should stay home, not go to school, not go somewhere.
What, like if someone like sends you like a threat or something?
Like that. He creates FUD.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No. So I'm saying that creating that message of having that message that was laced with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD, versus addressing a specific topic by saying, we've got a threat or a series of threats that related to these events, or other teams have raised the concern that their players might create friction between the Israeli team and the non-Israeli team because of the politics. Things, if you specify why things can happen, like the case of understanding that you need to have a privacy lawyer, understanding that you need to comply with this list of rules, understanding that you need to handle certain specific things. And that happens all the time. When people create, like, we can't, somebody wants to launch a website and the business says we can't because we'll be hacked and this will cause a problem. Most of the time, like in the speed song, the things that actually hack you are never things that you actually planned for. And when you not address those things in a coherent way, you don't understand your threat landscape.
So I want to say something about, I think in general, we are heading in some areas in the right direction, and I'll explain. Yesterday, I participated in a Zoom call with an analyst from Morgan Stanley, which covers the security, the public security market. And he talked about trends and what's coming up in cybersecurity and what we're facing. He's, by the way, very optimistic about where the market is going. And we can have an episode to talk more about that. But it's really interesting. He thinks that unlike the cloud adoption, that was very slow, slower than expected. It took a while, and the slow adoption was partially due to the hurdle of going from legacy infrastructure to rebuilding your infrastructure on the cloud, which is a real thing, plus a lot of FUD around the security of it and the need to build the whole cloud security practice. He thinks we're not going to see the same trend happening with generative AI, LLM models adoption, just because the opportunity for the business on one hand and the huge risk of all industries now being disrupted if they don't integrate LLMs, AI into the day-to-day operations. that security will no longer be able to hold back the business. He said that at the moment, every Fortune 5,000 companies is asking, where are we putting AI to help us move forward? There is no single company that, and CISOs and CIOs are leading those discussions. They have a seat in the table, an important seat. And the expectations from the business leadership is to say yes, to give clear guidance, to build policies, to bring transparencies of how we do it and what is the timeline versus there is no, there is no delay. There is what's the roadmap? Where are we going to start? Usually they're going to start with, customer support or marketing and sales, which is easy. And they'll use off-the-shelf tools from ServiceNow tools, Salesforce tools, whatever. But it will go and move into, R&D and the core of the business. So I heard that, and that was exactly, I was thinking we should bring it because it feels like security, at least in supporting this business transformation that is ahead of us, will have to adapt, will have to, give a detailed plan. Oh, we lost Didi.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Did we?
I think he just
No,
lost.
I'm recording from my hotel room, and housekeeping just came in.
Oh, okay. So,
So,
we can go back saying...
No. I heard everything. I just went off camera, but it's okay. I can multitask.
So let me finish this point. I think that the business needs to move forward, and the huge risk of full industries being completely disrupted and go away, which will happen anyhow with any transformation like that. We will see this. Some businesses will evaporate. With that, there will be no more room for excuses of we cannot do it because it's a risk. They will have to say, yes, we can do it, but here are the frameworks we need to put around it. And this is a great place for us in cybersecurity industry to come in and pave the road, enable that. So it could be that, we'll see this leap, and I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. Hiding behind a blank, it's not secure, and let's not do anything and have paralysis analysis is no longer a thing, and for sure shouldn't be a thing in sports.
Yes. And one more thing, and I'll bring us back to the sports element. The thing that is really infuriating is Nelson Mandela, one of his biggest claim was that sport is the big unifier because it's a clear meritocracy.
Yeah.
The faster runner will always be the faster runner. Mm-hmm. The best swimmer will always be the best swimmer. And athletes very fast go into the path of adopting other athletes because everybody that is an athlete wants to win. You want the best player on your team to win.
Omri.
Yes, of course. That's the point. That people that want to win don't care about anything. And this is where I'm so annoyed about the politics. And by the way, when you're saying about security and cloud adoption, one more thing, Omri doesn't listen, and I need to tell him again that he needs to carpool.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, while you're taking care of him carpooling,
yes.
Leia, what do you think about the topic? Do you feel like people use security as a excuse for not doing things?
Yes.
Have you seen it in real life?
Well, this story was an example, but...
Do you feel this happens in school a lot?
I don't know necessarily, but I think...
Do you feel there is an excuse? Sometimes people say not feeling safe is an excuse for a lot of things.
1,000%. Like, I think with like the graffiti and everything at our school, I think people use like that as an excuse. Like people just like they're like, oh, I understand that this makes people feel unsafe, and then they don't do anything. They just suspend the kid for a few days, and
they're not allowed to suspend anyone.
They're not allowed to just suspend.
In Massachusetts, the schools are not allowed to suspend a kid unless they use drugs.
That's an even bigger problem then, because that kid doesn't learn a lesson, and maybe that's why there's so much graffiti at our school, because all the student get is like, oh no, you shouldn't do this, and the kid is not gonna listen to their principal, like.
Okay.
Unless there's actual consequences.
Okay.
Yes. Well, the unsafe.
In a different area now.
Yes, but the unsafe. But this is actually a good topic to deal with the fake.
A graffiti doesn't make the kids be unsafe.
Feel unsafe.
You're still safe. Nothing happens to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that.
I feel
it's a hate symbol.
I feel unsafe about how the school is reacting to this. That's how.
Well, and I feel unsafe when a teacher says that, well, drug dealers die in Dorchester all the time, and what's so bad about rape? That's things that make me
politics aside. Okay.
That's things that make me feel unsafe.
Didi, before we conclude, do you want to add anything to the topic?
Yes. I think one of the things that we can learn from this show, the Leia and Lital show, I think this is something that people can learn how to embrace and see the huge backlash, because this is visible, and understand that this is something that is ask themselves, where do they see this happening in their world? Where are people spreading FUD and to prevent forward motion? And I have advice that is critical. So one of the things that I've seen people do a lot of times is attack head on. And a lot of times attacking head on, and that's, by the way, my default action. As you know, I'm very held back and never attack and I'm never aggressive. But actually, this one of the things that I've learned to take back and learn is that the right way to deal with this is the Socratic method, is to deal with the 5 whys, or deal with root cause analysis. Start asking why. And when the other side either is not responsive, like the IHF was, or gives back answers that are clearly not well thought of, that's when you can start proving to the rest of the system that this is a mistake. On the other hand, if you go through the Socratic method and bring in numbers and business value into this discussion, now you can start quantifying versus qualifying and turn this into a quantitative discussion of, this is not unsafe or safe. This is not a security problem or not a security problem. It's the cost of a different hotel, the cost of a security group, the cost of having another referee on the ice to keep an eye on things, or keep what is called an eye in the sky ref to deal with the problems. These things address quantitative solutions.
Basically, quantify the risk and the alternative.
The risk with a number. And if you can't quantify the risk with a number, and when you have the Socratic method of discussion of, why is this a problem? Why was this done? Is there a problem with merits? Is there bias with whomever deals with these things? And this is, I think, is an important element of this. And the other thing that I wanted to kind of bring back into this conversation is the reaction to these things. A lot of times these things bring visceral reactions. So for example, Lital had a very visceral reaction. She said, they're a bunch of anti-Semites, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, more likely than not. Or then there was also the Qatari paying money, the Russians. And I'm thinking, more likely than not, it's a low-level bureaucrat, which a lot of times this is what happens, at least in the security space. It's somebody at the senior manager or the director level has cold feet or is dealing with a problem that they don't know how to quantify, and they're too scared to ask for help. And then what they do is they scare everybody up.
Yeah.
And if you understand that you're dealing with humans and not a big system, that Socratic method a lot of times helps you find the relevant person and start asking the right questions. And if it is anti-Semitism, if it is a financial lubrication problem, now it becomes visible, because the way that the answer to the questions will go into vagueness versus go into eventually somebody will say, I'm scared, I don't know what to do with this, and ask for help, if that's the reason. If it's not,
I think the public pressure, especially coming from NHL, actually exposed that there was no real security threat. And the good news is, and Israel was actually already filed a suit against the IHF. And the good news is that they decided to cancel this decision and bring back the team. And hopefully this stays like that. There are other more junior teams that are about to play in the future. And this should also be, the real worry is that other sports would follow. So this is really important that it's taken. I appreciate the fact that you became the one that gives people a slack and see the good side of them. I really
I just assumed that they're stupid and lazy.
Yeah.
So the
things have not
reality,
changed.
I think that public pressure, including you and I, like posting about it and sending it to people.
They don't want a bad reputation.
They don't want a bad reputation, but actually it raised those important questions of specify the threat, specify the concern. Let's see, maybe Jewish community can donate money to help reduce the risk and alleviate the security concern, the cost of it. So I think with that, we can conclude for today.
And I can go pick up Omri from the rink because he wants to eat in a more expensive place because he doesn't like the catered food.
This kid is a fine schmecker. Yes, do you agree, Leah?
This kid is spoiled.
Like you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining the Didi and Lital show. Those were real life experience from hockey and at how you applied for everything, including security. We hope you liked us. We hope you join us next week. If you like the show, please rate and review it wherever you get your podcast. Hopefully, Leah will not be here next time because she will be in school.
Yes,
but,
fingers crossed.
We will see. If you want her to join again, please let us know. Have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.